Just begin. We'll get
All
him
right,
on.
great. He'll join. Okay, it is 12:09, or I'm sorry, 12:05. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll do a quick roll call. I'm just gonna read the names of who I see. If you could just please vocalize that you're here. Myself, Carrie Merkel's here. Jim Best.
Here.
Christian DeCuna.
Here.
Karen Dupuy.
I'm here.
Dave Fabreo.
Here.
Tim Laughlin.
Here.
Andrea Maloney.
Here.
Mike D'Angelo.
Here.
John Fliss.
Here.
And I see Rich Breitenbach.
Here.
Okay, I think that's everybody we have at this time. Does anyone have additions or modifications to the agenda they'd like to add? No. Members of the public, Jake, do you have anything you want to comment on, or anyone?
Not at this time.
Okay, approval of the minutes. We just have one copy of minutes from August 18th to approve. Everyone should have gotten a copy of it. Does anyone have any questions on it before we move ahead? Discussion? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from August 18th, 2025? Or I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from August 18th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, I believe that's all in favor. I'm just going to note Mike Lasasso has joined us at 12:08, as well as Don Lowe. Okay, meeting minutes are approved. Let's jump to approval of current bills. We have a little bit of a list to go through. Again, everybody should have received the initial package with all the backups, so I'm just going to start at the top. First is our owner's project manager with CSG. These bills are dated September 8th, 2025, and services include budget review, updating, and coordinating with the school team, us, and Newfield. The Sherman School amount is for $8,034.01, and the central administration portion is for $48.50. Is there any question or discussion on that one?
Not from me, not from me.
Okay. Tim, did you have something?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
I
Second,
second that.
that was Don Lowe. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? No. Okay, that's approved. CSG will get you signed and returned back to you. Next is our architect, Antonazzi and Associates. This invoice is dated August 31st, 2025. This includes updates to the CD documents, bidding and negotiating through the end of our bid process, and the beginning of CA or construction administration work on site. The Sherman School portion is for $26,991.04. Central administration portion is $116.56. Any questions or comments? No. May I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
That was Christian. Thanks, Christian.
Second.
A second.
Jim Best, second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That's a no. Okay, Antonazzi and Associates is approved. Again, we'll get that signed and turned back to you, Mike. Next, pre-construction services with Newfield Construction. This obviously pre-construction, so this includes bid phase work, and services. The Sherman School portion is for $15,960. Central administration is for $840. Any questions or comments here? No. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the Newfield Construction pre-construction service invoice dated 8/31/25.
I'll second that. Don Lowe here.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? So no, okay, approved. Next, Newfield construction services invoice. So this is for hazmat and demo services work. Best Tech obviously was handling that as their sub. The Sherman School portion, $1,005,087.28. Any questions or comments here?
Could maybe the team, i.e. Mike Lasasso, run through the process by which these construction invoices are verified and certified via the CA contract, please?
Yes, so we receive what we refer to as a pencil copy or a draft copy from the CM, and included with the document, which I assume you've received as well, as a schedule of values, which breaks down each of the work activities associated with the work being performed for the full project. In the current category, there's a work build that was representative of work complete over that typically 30-day time period. And then in some cases, you may also see materials stored offsite. I don't think we have that as yet, but occasionally that happens as well. So we're visiting the construction site on a weekly basis at minimum, and perform a walkthrough and do our evaluation of the progress of the work, and then equate that back to the billing that's received. And so we work in concert with the construction manager. If we have any questions in terms of the billing percent billed, sometimes we'll raise those issues, and that can be adjusted. But there's a checks and balance established in that manner before the bill is submitted for processing.
Thank you. And this is something that you discuss with Newfield and CSG, right? Before this is all packaged and sent to us for approval. So we know that in today's case, that process was carried out.
Yes, we did. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, we did look at the documentation and felt that the work complete was equivalent to the percentages being billed at the time.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any questions or comments from the committee?
Carrie, just a quick question. Do the application numbers reset with construction versus pre-construction? Because there's number 5 in pre-construction, number 1 in construction.
Here it is, the application 1 through 5. Sam, that might be a question for you, as you're the one that put this together and you're the one cataloging all of this, but I believe the answer is yes, that those would be two separate construction and pre-construction are two separate entities.
Yeah.
Sam, can you clarify?
Yeah, so pre-construction we typically carry under other professional fees. And that's like its own separate, I guess, contract, for lack of a better term. So once you start construction, the pay apps essentially reset. So that's why for the construction application, we started at number 1. I don't know if Mike D'Angelo, if you want to add to that, but.
Yeah, no, you're correct. And even with the how we have GMP1 and GMP2, we'll just add GMP2 into the schedule of values. So this month's billing will be construction phase application number 2, but it'll have more line items because we recently had the GMP2 approved.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, may I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve as read, Jim Best.
Second?
I'll second that. Don Lowe.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, approved. That's Newfield's construction invoice dated 8/31/25. Finally, we have our invoice from our legal counsel, Shipman and Goodwin. This is dated June 26th, 2025. Again, this is contract updates, some phone and email correspondence, and work related to RFP, which I believe is number 5, materials and testing, which we'll get into that later in the agenda, but those services are being invoiced here in the amount of $2,200. Any questions there?
Nope.
Motion to approve them?
So moved.
Second?
Second, Christian DeCunia.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? No. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Those invoices are all approved. Andrea and I will sign and get those back to you, Sam.
Perfect, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, our next payable cycle is end of next week, just to give an idea on time.
Thank you. Okay, next, moving on, new business construction progress update from Newfield. Newfield, I don't know which one of you wants to take this, but jump on in.
I guess I could start. Rich can back me up if he's on site, but no, we're heavily into the contracting process currently with the trades. So we've received a few of those back and are beginning to execute those contracts and collecting them in bonds and insurances, et cetera, so that we could get them mobilized to the site. As far as our on-site progress, we're still wrapping up our logistics, again, fine-tuning the fences, the signs, and working with the school on anything they need for wayfinding signage and getting those installed. I think we're in pretty good shape with that. Best Tech obviously is still on site working, doing select demo in the renovation areas. And we did receive their demolition plan on Friday and are reviewing that internally, but it looks much better than the last version. And they did walk through with their structural engineer today. So that'll also be incorporated in that plan. So we're looking forward to getting them in the excavator and doing the demolition. But again, we're not proceeding with that work until we are satisfied with their demolition plan and safety plan. We have our new superintendent, Matt, out there who's getting up to speed and has a good understanding of the project and the logistics. We're going to be going through a more detailed baseline scheduling process here. Rich and I are going to be working on that with Matt. And the boiler is connected, and MJ Daly's on site today doing the final startup of the boiler itself and working with Phil and his group and Mitchell's on the propane. I think there's a fire inspection that was either had or being conducted today. I guess Rich could chime in on that one if it happened this morning for the propane tanks. So it looks like we're in good shape to get those boilers online before our self-imposed deadline of Friday. So unless there's any major catastrophes, it looks like we're in good shape to get the heat on. Rich, did you hear from anybody as far as the inspection is concerned?
As of a couple hours ago, it had not happened yet. I haven't heard if the fire marshal's been here or not. I'll look into it though.
All right, as far as going forward, mobilizing trades, electrician, MEP, duct guy, all for select demolition in the renovation areas and helping out final separation with the mass demolition areas. So again, we had some work that was included in specific scopes regarding demolition that we've been awaiting on, and Best Tech's been waiting on. So those guys are due before our next meeting on site. Anybody have any specific questions?
I have a question. Given we're on, I don't know what version, 3 or 4 of the proposed demo and safety plan for the K-wing and all that. Is there an anticipated turnaround on that, or how close do we feel we are?
Well, I shouldn't say that. It all depends on when they get their engineer report. So that could be a couple of days or could be a week. But again, we're working with Best Tech, and I believe there's work that can be done in advance of that report, but we just want to make sure, I want to hear back from my crew after that walkthrough and understand what the engineer's looking at and specifically.
Mhm.
So it could be as simple as him coming in, evaluating the situation and saying, no, you don't need any shoring or you don't need any special provisions. You can cut here, here, and here, and everything will be fine. But we need that engineer report telling us to go ahead with it, actually do it.
Mhm. All right. Any other questions for Newfield? Okay, then moving on, value engineering design modifications progress update from Antonazi. Mike Lasasso, the floor is yours.
Morning, everyone. Mike Basasso, Antonazi Associates. We have been in the process ourselves, actually, the Antonazi Associates, for about 2 weeks working on the drawing updates. We have communicated that information over to our consultants and have had one large coordination meeting and a couple of independent ones with specific consultants. Our game plan is to have their updates back by the end of the month. Let's call it September 30th. So they're working away on that effort. The majority of it, I think, is really at this point centered around a lot of the electrical revisions, lighting, things of that nature. We do still hope to capture some additional site work changes. Those are in the works, but again, are largely related to lighted bollards and things of that type. So they seem to be making good progress. I've been independently touching base with each of the leads on the consultant team, and nobody has expressed any concerns with the deadline. So we should be seeing those numbers back, or I should say the documents back shortly. Then that information will be transferred over to Newfield so that their trades can confirm the pricing, and hopefully we'll see at minimum the $2 million savings and maybe even some other things that we picked up along the way. So I haven't, one thing that's always a caution, and I'll raise it, oftentimes through this process and as we're developing the details, we sometimes find that things go the other way, that things we thought would be savings are ultimately not. There is one item that I'll mention to the group and that we had anticipated. The doweling of the slab was something that I had come up in conversation, I think, with the construction group. And in closer analysis and given the history of vapor migration through the slabs that have in the past delaminated flooring, our structural engineer was very concerned about eliminating any kind of doweling. Maintaining that connection will help prevent differential settlement, causing the slab to potentially move next to the portion that's still input. So that's something we're going to have to catch up elsewhere on, but we're aware of it and we're still looking through the documents to find some additional savings.
Thank you. Any questions for Mike? No. Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Next item, discussion of next steps to finalize project budget and state submissions. Tim or Sam, do you want to chime in here and explain where we are and what the next steps are?
Let me just summarize and ask Sam to help us. So Sam and Jim have been working in the background here to help us organize the budget formats. You'll see in the tracking documents that Sam is sending, there's budgets and they're tracked. There's going to be a global budget update that reflects the taxpayer authorization from the most recent referendum, and then all the other pieces of the project from that point. There are slight modifications to some of the things where we have confirmations and where we don't. Really, the only outstanding cost that we have that we don't have a confirmation on because it's not contractually defined is special inspections. And so we just need to work through the budget. The school team is working in the background on both the FF&E and the technology packages to see those levels to make sure that they're aligned correctly, and that there's not any duplication with scopes in the construction budget as it relates to things like technology and equipment and the audiovisual package. I think that what now that the construction budget's defined, the goal would be to try to really lock down the entirety of the budget as much as we can, hopefully by the end of the month, to align with the work that Mike Lasasso and his team are doing so that the budget is then submitted as part of the 1049R. With that, we have to do an update on the ineligibles worksheet. And so ineligibles are costs and expenses that the state deems ineligible for reimbursement. Things like bonding costs, legal fees, the pro rata share of pavement that is outside of the school's property line going into the state right of way, that the state doesn't reimburse that portion. So we just need to go back through the worksheet. That's something Sam is kind of working on with the team to just make sure that we have the correct ineligibles number so that when we make that submission to the state, everything tracks correctly for the revised legislation that DAS will subsequently submit to the legislature. So I would say that the end of the month should get us the budget update, right, that aligns with the 1049R, which is the state submission for a substantial project change. So those things kind of go together, but we really should be try to submit those end of this month, beginning of October, to allow the agencies time to engage with the legislature before the session formally starts in January.
Thanks, Tim.
Did I miss anything, Sam?
No, I don't think so. I think one thing I just did want to mention too, with obviously getting funding from the state, you guys can, and with construction starting and everything, we can start submitting payment requests. So I think once we kind of finalize the overall project budget, get that submitted to the state, make sure all those numbers are in alignment, then we could start submitting payment requests to the state on a rather frequent basis. On other projects we've done, I think they've been submitting them once a month. And there's been kind of like a monthly payment turnaround. Obviously, it's the state, so that timing could vary, but I think once we get this 1049R submitted and then eligibles updated, we should start making sure that we can get those payment requests in so the town can get some money back for work that's already been completed.
Yes. And just to clarify, so that would be basically we would submit an October reimbursement request that would cover everything prior to today that we have approved that would be eligible, and then the items, including the big ticket construction first bill, right? That would all go on this
Correct.
one big bulk kind of
Yep.
request. And then from that point, subsequently, we would just put it on a monthly schedule so that we're turning with the town's payment cycles and the backups and the state, right? Like that's the way we want it to align eventually.
Correct. Yeah. I will say, so the states changed their requirements a little bit. So with the first payment request now, we need to submit, I believe it's a copy of the basically a bid approval letter that we received from the state based on the PCR meeting. So that gets submitted with the first payment request. Now, once we submit a payment request, until the town gets paid, the system locks you out. So you can't submit another one until you get paid for the previous one. So the kind of frequency of payments depends on that, but we've been finding that since we're submitting them so frequently, it's not like 150 invoices that they need to review. Rather, it's like maybe 10 to 12. So the cycle in which you guys get payment back has been a little bit quicker. But we can work all that out once we get there.
Got it. Andrea, anything else on that front that you had questions about on just your side, and with respect to Liz's support and kind of what we need to be doing to help you guys?
No, Jim talked to me about it a bit after the last meeting, so I'm just getting our stuff organized so that as soon as, we're ready to coordinate that submission, I have everything I need to get over to Sam.
Perfect. Thank you. Just want to make sure we're getting you guys what you need.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Next, final new business item, discussion and possible action to reissue RFQP number 5 for independent materials testing and special inspection services. Mike Lasasso or anyone from Newfield, you want to sort of explain what's going on here and why we may be reissuing?
Yeah, Carrie, if I could
Or
just,
Tim?
just so
Sure.
everybody knows what we did, we issued, per the committee's direction, an RFP. It kind of, was sitting for a few weeks. We received one response, from a firm in Danbury. And, we can talk about the specifics of that, response, but the fact that we only received one response was not great. And so the suggestion from the team was you may have an opportunity now to rebid, right? To see if you can elicit more than one response, just for the purposes of, being the most advantageous in price. And then, so really it's just us doing that. So it's taking the same documents that we had, noting that we issued, reissuing due to lack of response, and then, setting a time frame and trying to make sure we can get as much knowledge of this procurement as possible. That's just the procedural background on the town side. I'll let the teams talk to why they think it's important to have, special inspections, multiple parties, et cetera, et cetera.
As far as the requirement, special inspections is actually dictated by the building code for specific assemblies, things like structural steel, concrete, masonry, assemblies that have either structural in nature or have a specific complexity that could result in issues down the road. They want to make sure that they're inspected as the work is progressed, so that there's no concern about the quality of the installation. Those records are maintained by the special inspections company and distributed to the owner, as well as members of the design and construction team over the course of the project. And that full record will then be summarized by the special inspections coordinator, in this case, our structural engineer, who is effectively reviewing and overseeing the process. Specific to the bids, we had recommended for two reasons. I think in part because it's impossible to compare in the format that's presented, which is generally rates, hourly rates that are offered for different types of inspections. Each special inspector will bid utilizing as a basis of information the statement of special inspections. But oftentimes, if it's available, and I don't know if it went out with this RFP or not, Tim, but the construction schedule is an important component as well. And what we had suggested to the town, given the single bid response, was to issue it again, but this time include the construction schedule, and then also recommend that the bidders include an estimate cost, so that not only will you have their hourly rates for different types of inspections, but also a projected cost for the total sum of the project. It's impossible to hold them to that, because ultimately their arrival is going to be dictated by the progress of the work and the frequency of testing required. But at least it'll give you an idea of what they're thinking, and hopefully sometimes it also shows that one or more of the bidders are looking at the work in a different light. Sometimes travel factors in. So when if the new RFP goes out, we'll contact those companies that we've worked with to apprise them of the work, and hopefully generate more interest in bid. So you'll have a better, more competitive number ultimately.
Mike,
Thanks, Mike.
if you want me to add to, being a small town like Sherman, with the building official, Bill, he needs he's going to have a certain comfort level with this special inspector, and as well as QA, QC. And given his limited hours and our construction schedule, is very important that he has that relationship and confidence, so that, when he's not available, there'll be this entity will be his eyes and ears on site, watching over the construction and making sure it's done according to code. So, like I said, we don't want to just throw anybody in there. It has to be done well, and the reporting has to be done thoroughly and timely for him to maintain that confidence.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Or concerns? Okay, I mean, do we need to take an actual vote on this, or
We should.
let's-
Yeah. So I just make a motion that we reissue RFP Q number 5 for special inspection services, including a revised construction schedule and requesting a estimated lump sum payment.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Christian? Or maybe I'll ask anyone opposed? Christian, can you hear us?
Yeah, you didn't hear me? I said aye.
Oh, sorry. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
You're
All
welcome.
right, so that was unanimous then. All in favor? Okay.
Tim, let me know if there's anything you need from us to get that reissued.
Thanks, Sam. I think it's just, we just have to, yes, I'll have you peruse the Word document. I just got to find the Word document. You have it somewhere. But thank you for prepping that previously, weeks back.
Okay, any general committee comments, questions, anything you guys want to raise? No.
Good
Okay,
here.
thanks, Don. We have on here, Tim kind of touched on this, possibly scheduling a special meeting within the next couple weeks. This would be to address the ineligible costs and budget updates, as CSG is working with us through that. And then legal counsel, we're waiting, to hear more word about our relationship with Van Zelm and CSG's contract amendment. So stay tuned for that, if probably within the next couple weeks, hopefully we can get something scheduled. And other than that, we'll just have our next regular meeting. I believe it's November 17th, but don't quote me on that yet. I've got to look at an actual calendar and make sure I got that right.
October 17th.
October, thank you. Yeah, don't want to rush the year yet. Okay. That's it.